So when we're decanting, we're trying to take something that is dense and insoluble and separate it from our mixture, basically because it sits at the bottom of the water here. So what I did here is I had salt and sand mixture. I added some water to it. I stirred it around to dissolve our salt into the water. And if you've watched the filtration video, you know that I could take this, and what I did before was I stirred the whole thing up, put a filter into our funnel, dumped it all out, and then filtered it that way. So our sand was up at the top in the filter paper, and the salt water came down to the bottom, and we collected it there and then evaporated off. Another way that I can do it is I can let that sit for a while, and you can see how it separates out pretty nicely. Before we had kind of a cloudy liquid, and so what I did was I set this out, let it sit so that it really separated out. And now what I can do is I can do something called decanting, and because this sand is dense and it doesn't dissolve, this is going to work. So I take this glass stir rod and put it over the top just to help from some of the splashing, kind of guiding the water down to the bottom. And all I'm doing is I'm just pouring off the liquid from the top and leaving the sand down in the bottom. So I have my other beaker right here. I'm just going to slowly pour this out. Right up against that wall. And if I do it slowly enough, it should work out pretty well. So now I've got them separated out. Again, I would want to know what the mass of both of these beakers was before I started so that I could, dry them out. This one would still need to be evaporated, and this one would just need to be dried off and then weighed out. But as long as I knew the mass of the beakers before, I would be able to figure out the mass of both of these substances that were in my starting mixture. And decanting, honestly, is, if you can do it that way, it's probably a little bit simpler than setting up the filter and having all the masses, and then you don't have things sitting around so much. So that's decanting for things that are insoluble and dense, and they sit down at the bottom of that mixture.